Have you ever listened to something before for the first time and instantly it makes sense? You just resonate with it.
Frequencies are things that you do frequently. Frequencies. Yeah, you got radio frequencies and all that shit. That's dumb as hell. Frequency for you. What you do frequently.
Like it just click. It's like this is the information that you have been waiting for to piece everything together. That recently happened to me when I watched a video on TikTok about somebody trying to explain frequency. And it was just like I knew this, but I did not know this. Like somehow it was buried inside me. I knew that frequency, this was what frequency was like all along. Somehow I knew it, but I did not know it. Consciously, I did not know it, but I think it was buried in my subconscious because as soon as I heard the guy explain what he explained about frequency, I did not doubt it. Like it clicked. It was like, yeah, this is it. And then I just realized that subconsciously I knew this and I have been doing this subconsciously, like following that other particular definition of frequency and not the general perception about frequency, because there's this particular miscommunication that content creators, spiritual people, atheists, these people that talk about, frequency, vibration, there's this miscommunication about frequency that I don't know if they are the one omitting to explain frequency this way, or they too do not know frequency to this depth, or I don't know. But there's this particular miscommunication, and all along, everybody that I listened to that talk about frequency before I listened to this particular guy made frequency look like something that has to be done spiritually. They made frequency sound like before you can be able to raise your frequency as a person, before you can be able to raise your vibration, before you can be able to get to the point where you become instantly attractive and magnetic to the things that you actually want, you have to be spiritually pure. You have to be spiritually good. You have to be spiritually, I don't know if you get, they made it look like raising your frequency has to do with the things that you eat. Raising your frequency has to do with the things that you think about. Everything has to be positive, 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 positive. And I went through that particular loop because when I left religion and I just went into the world, trying to connect with life, trying to have my own understanding about life and connect with God in my own way, I did not know what I was going to meet. I did not know where I was heading towards. Like, I actually had anxiety when I decamped from religion. I just knew religion was my limitation and I needed to experience life outside religion, rules and regulation. So I dove and fell into the spiritual people that are always trying to make life look like, okay, you have to be holy spiritually, even though you don't believe in the religious God. But then as a person, you have to be holy, like you have to be pure, eat some certain food, connect, they made it look in a certain way. And I fell into that particular box too, because of course, I am a novice that just left religion with that limited mindset. I still don't understand how powerful I am as a person. So I went and I fell into another box that started limiting me, making me feel like I have to, keep up with some certain meals, like eat greens, stay this, intention, I had to do like some certain things that if I don't keep doing that, I cannot be able to raise my frequency to the kind of life that I want, raise my frequency to experience the kind of life that I want. But all those things are, again, illusions. Again, all those things are just people limited definition about almost everything. We created the language as human beings, but still we limit the language, like we limit ourselves through the language, or we limit the way we understand the language that we created for ourselves. But anyways, let me quickly help you come to a full 360 realization of what frequency is and how to actually raise your frequency. Raising your frequency is not about spiritual ritual that you have to do or perform, okay? You don't have to be spiritually pure or spiritually anything good, spiritually this, spiritual. No, you don't have to be spiritually holy. You don't have to be spiritually anything, okay, to be able to raise your frequency. Frequency is the rate at which you take aligned action physically. That is how you raise your frequency. If you want to experience any kind of life, it's possible. Okay, you can raise your frequency to actually start experiencing any type of life that you want to experience. You don't have to be spiritually nada. In life, you don't become better by just thinking about it. You don't become disciplined by praying. You don't become wealthy by wishing. You become any of these things in this physical reality by taking action, by taking consistent action. You want to dig a hole, you want to dig a pit. You don't just sit down and think about digging a pit and physically the pit will start digging itself. You take aligned action. You want to dig a pit, you buy a hole, you buy the necessary tools that is needed in digging a pit, and then you dig the pit. Even though you're not the one digging the pit, you can actually, if you have the funds, you can pay people, but you take actions. What I'm trying to say is that there is the word act. You have to act on it. And frequency is the amount of time that you act on that particular intention. The amount of time that you take actions, aligned action. And that's frequency. I'll give you guys an example. Now let me talk about myself because I like to talk about myself. Okay. I'm experiencing my own life. So I learned from my mistakes. I learned from everything in life. I learned, like I've allowed life to be my teacher. So constantly I am learning. Even as I'm making this video, listening to my own words, I am still learning from it. So let me tell you about myself. Now I want to actually be, that's my dream. I don't know why I have this dream. The dream might change tomorrow, which is something that is constant. Change is constant. The more I become aware, the more my dreams will change. But for the longest time, this has always been my dream. To become like a really nice, known designer. Okay. I want my brand to be, there's a certain way I want it to be. So I want to be known as a designer. Now, if I want to be known as a designer, do I just sit down and think about how I want to be known as a designer? Or do I take action? A or B? What's your answer? A or B? Should I sit down and think about it and then it will happen? Or should I take action? Like, should I act on it? Even though I'm not fully acting on the intention, do I take a part, like just small parts towards becoming a designer by maybe just learning the skill or at least making illustrations of the kind of designs that I don't know. Should I just take or should I just sit down and think about it? I have to take action. There is no amount of prayer that I can pray that will instantly make me the top designer if I'm not putting in the work. Anybody that you see right now that is making money from the things that you know them for, it is because they have been doing it for the longest time. Now, you guys will not see the beginning. You guys will never see how people put in effort, how people work towards becoming something. You only see when they have become it. And then you start hearing about them and you start buying their stuff and you start, seeing them, wanting to be them, wanting to patronize them, wanting to be associated with their brand or associated with whatever it is that they're doing. You never see the behind the scene. So action is something that you need to take. So action is something that I need to take if I want to be known as a designer. I wouldn't keep praying for creativity because prayer equals to minimal change. Minimal, zero to minimal, minimal to zero. If I start sewing and start creating design repeatedly and still you don't know me, what will happen? I'll become good at my skill. Even though it takes me 10 to 30 or 50 years, I am becoming good at my skill every day that I show up for it, because I want to be a top designer, right? And then one day my design will be known. But then because I have been on that lane, there is no way I will miss it. Okay. So if I post my work, show my work, sell my work, or just talk about my work or wear my work or do something like take repeated action, visibility will increase somehow. Okay. The one more person that knows my brand, that is one more visibility. So I'm just trying to let you know that raising your frequency isn't about what you eat, isn't about what you just think of, isn't about what you wish for. Raising your frequency is equals to the amount of time you spend in elevating yourself to the point that you want to be, or putting yourself in the kind of lifestyle that you want to have. It mustn't be that you're doing this to have money, because most people, their problem is not just money. Most people, it is love. Most people, it is acknowledgement. Most people, people have different needs. So if you're somebody that's trying to raise your frequency to attract some certain things in your life, you just have to be consistent, okay? Consistent physically. And you are just going to definitely put yourself in the point where you are aligned with what you want. So frequency is what? Frequency is equals to what? The amount of action you take. High frequency just means repeated and aligned action. Okay? Low frequency means what? No effort. Unintentional. So stop believing or stop limiting how you understand frequency. Okay, that is going to put you in a place of stagnation. It did put me in a place of stagnation, because when I got into the spiritual space, okay, before leaving religion and trying to, find my route or build my own belief system, and I fell into the spiritual space, I was constantly just waiting and hoping and wishing and just putting in just the intention, and I wasn't taking action. So I was just like, okay, all I have to do is eat right. All I have to do is show up for myself, self-love, all those things. And I was missing something, which is action towards what I actually wanted. The main action, not just, the wishing and just waiting. I was missing action. And my intention was right. And repeatedly, I was putting in effort in maintaining the kind of thinking I have towards the life I want. So I wasn't allowing anything to deviate me or distract me from the life I want. So I don't put my energy or my mental energy on anything outside what I want. So I was doing it mentally, but physically I was omitting the action. And I just felt stuck. And I was like, but I'm raising my frequency because I have the intention, I'm wishing for it, and I'm eating right, and I'm taking care of my body, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing that, and I'm loving other people, I'm making sure I'm nice, I don't do this. Again, doing everything that this new age spiritual people make it seem like, okay, you have to be pure, your spirit have to be pure, you have to do good, and good will come back to you. Those things are actually more illusions. Even what I'm saying right now is, it isn't the full truth. It's just now my new understanding of this particular topic. Okay, it is now my new, I unlimited myself from the way I was thinking about frequency, and I created a more expanded thought on this topic, right? But it is still not the full truth. Now, I could still wake up tomorrow, see something else that is saying what I'm saying, but even better, saying it in a way where my mind has not gone to just the way my mind did not go to this particular way of thinking before now. So yeah, frequency, please, let's not make it look like we are sinners every time, because that's the same mentality. When they say raise your frequency, you need to eat green, eat healthy, you need to walk on the earth, barefooted, you need to stay in the garden. Now, these things have benefits to the body. These other things, connecting with nature, eating healthy, they all have like other benefits to the body, but this is not what raises your frequency. If you want to live a life, if your dream or your wish is to live a life where you're healthy, where you are more grounded, where you are more, like at peace with yourself, now these things are included. So you have to be repeatedly taking actions where you're spending time in nature, where you're eating healthy, where you're keeping fit. If that is what you want. But if that is not what you want to raise your frequency and become like one of the most known assassin. You don't need to. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. All you have to do is take action, learn how to shoot, learn how to, do what assassin people do. And that is you raising your frequency to what you want. So it is not about the food, the lifestyle. It is about taking action towards what you want repeatedly, showing up for it repeatedly. And that is frequency. And that is you raising your frequency. Now, you can be raising your frequency towards something very bad. And all you have to do is wake up every day and show up as a bad person and show up being bad as you want to be. If it's being good, same thing. If it's being a whore, if it's being, there is no moral compass, or there is no moral ruler or moral does not apply to frequency. Okay, frequency does not apply to morals. Okay, morals are man-made. These are another way that we are all actually limiting ourselves. I don't want to talk about morals here because I want to create a video especially for morals. Like, I'm not ready for that video yet because that video has to be raw. That's my plan. I want that particular video to be raw. So when I'm talking about morals, I want to strip myself of everything that humans have used to define morals. I'm going to strip myself of it and have a conversation with you guys talking about morals so that you know what moral really mean. Like, what morals is actually meant to me, not what we are defining it these days. Okay, not what we are using that particular word to limit ourselves these days. Not we. That word was actually created to limit a lot of people so that the 1% can still be in charge, or the people in charge can still be in charge. So I'm going to make a raw video, right, talking about morals. But frequency does not apply to morals. Morals does not apply to frequency. You can raise your frequency towards whatever it is that you want, good or bad. It doesn't matter. All you have to do is take repeated action. Okay? When you take repeated action, you build your skill. When you take repeated action, you build or shaping your identity, because the more you do it, the more you feel, the more you learn, the more you become better, the more you become confident, the more you become everything in that your skill. Okay? Repeated action changes the probability of the outcome. Once you repeatedly take action, the chances of the outcome being a reality becomes higher. Okay, so frequency becomes how often you show up as a version of yourself that can produce that result. Do you hear? This is it. This is period. This is it. Okay, that version, it doesn't matter what the version is. That's my point. So let's stop this spirituality talk. In fact, I think I'm going to decamp from spirituality too. Because we're all trying to limit ourselves with these labels, like creating these labels and trying to fall or find ourselves in one of these labels is still we're limiting ourselves. All we have to do is learn. We just have to keep learning. From the spiritual side, religion side, atheist, let's learn from each other, because this word, like the truth about this word is that the more you know, the better your life becomes. The more you know, the easier your life becomes. The more you know, the more freer your life becomes, because now you know that some of these things that we are using to pressure ourselves are just self-created chains. Okay, so we learn, the chain breaks. The more we learn, the more chains we are able to break out from, or the more prison we're able to break out from. So yeah, I think I'm going to decamp from spirituality, like calling myself a spiritual person. I think I'm going to do that. I just don't want to put label on it, and I'm going to work towards, but let's not deviate. So whatever version it is that you want to be, okay, you can be it. And that is you raising your frequency. Low frequency is equals to inconsistency, reactive, unfocused, unintentional, and not aligned. And then your high frequency is intentional, consistent, aligned behavior towards anything, any freaking thing, okay? Any freaking thing that you want to be. See, why I'm emphasizing on this is that there are so many things that is stopping you from actually creating the life that you want. Okay, there are so many things, and these things are just words that has been created and made to look like these are norms. These are normal. These are our normal. But it isn't. There are so many words that people have used to imprison themselves, and this is what is creating the life that you're living in. This is why you're not happy in that life. You don't know that you might be happy actually being that version that you want to be. You know the version, but you're hiding from it because these words are limiting you. This word that has been created, the purity, the modesty, the obedience, the conformity, like, these things are what is keeping you stuck, unhappy, unfulfilled, desperate, frustrated, everything, sad. You're just with anxiety, having depression because of this word. So try to allow yourself learn, okay? The more you learn, the more better this life will become for you. And the more easier it becomes, because now you can know, now you know, or now you will not know. You just instantly know that any version of yourself can be achieved, and you don't have to be spiritually pure. There is nothing like purity. Just be yourself, okay? And be it consistently. That's yourself that you have been thinking of, and you have been thinking, okay, if I have money, that is the only way I can be that myself. Or if I have this, or if I become this or now, you can actually be it now. Okay? Show up as that person now. Show up as that person tomorrow. Show up as that person next tomorrow. And one day, that will just instantly become your reality. Like, in fact, as you're showing up, it is your reality already. And that is you raising your frequency to experience the life that you want. So I hope I have been able to break you free from that limiting belief or limiting understanding you had about frequency and how to raise your frequency.